Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Anthony podcast. And today I'm joined by my good friend Tom Talks Rubbish. How you doing today? How you doing today, Tom?
I'm a great man. Thanks for having me back on. It's always fun to chat with you.
I think this is your fifth or maybe even sixth time on the channel. I
It
think it's your
might be
fifth.
six. It might be six.
I'll have to look, but I know I know you definitely close down down the record for the amount of appearances. You're very close, but I think one of the persons got you beat.
It's the editor guy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the reason why I got you on today, Tom, is because I just wanted to speak at your growth as a. But first of all, you want to explain to my audience that might not know who you are exactly what you do on your channel.
So I am a big wrestling fan, like your good self, right?
Yeah,
And essentially, okay, so if we take this back, the initial idea for my channel was very similar to yours, my friend. I needed something to do during the pandemic, and I was just going to talk about whatever was on my mind. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I get yeah.
And then, like, I've told the Adam Pacitti story on here before, but like, I was getting into interviewing people that were affected by the COVID pandemic. Are we allowed to say that on YouTube anymore? Am I gonna get in trouble?
I think it's all right. But at this point, I think it's all right, to be honest. I've said it before.
Ah, fair enough. And then one night, I just stuck up this video, man, being like, 10 people in wrestling that I'd love to win. And that was Adam Pacitti was on that list. And he basically
When
said to me, yeah, I'll do that for you.
when I can't remember, but was I also on the list? Obviously,
You was, yeah. Because at this time, you and I think I'd been on, think I'd had my first appearance on your channel. I'd been on at this point. Do you know what I mean?
I don't remember, but I don't think so because I went on your channel first, and then
I
I
thought it
said
was the other way around because we did a lot of talk about what I was doing with my carers.
I don't know, man. It doesn't matter anyway.
Anyway, so he's basically sent me a DM that. So the long story short is I interview people within the wrestling media, basically about their fandom, their favorite matches, their favorite things they want to be remembered for, and why they love content creating, essentially.
Yeah. So when did you decide I'm gonna go from interviewing my carers and other people that I know at the pandemic to wrestling interviews in particular?
So that's kind of a two-prong answer. So can I give you two prongs?
Yeah, go on.
So unless I got that DM from Adam Pacitti, I think I would still be doing what I was doing back then because I didn't have the confidence to do wrestling. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but why do you think that one? Do you think you were just nervous because I toxic the wrestling community can be, or was it something more personal than that?
It was just I didn't think I was good enough. It had nothing to do with the rest of the community. But then the Adam Pacitti one obviously did very well because of who he is. And that also started a relationship with wrestling media because I had something to show my work. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't very good by today's standards of interviews of what I'm doing on my channel now, but I at least had something to show my work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, you had a sample piece.
Exactly. Because before then, I was trying to get wrestling media interviews, but I was just sending like, here's something I've done with my carer about why running a care company was good, which is good, but it didn't really show the person the type of interview I wanted to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I going back to your interview, Adam, as we've spoken about before, I can't remember what episode it was, but as we've spoken about before, in that interview, you were like really
Call
high.
a spade, man. I was a fanboy.
Yeah, basically, you were marking out for Adam, and because of that, it made the interview a bit awkward.
Yeah, and I definitely think there's two reasons for that. And again, we're covering a lot of old ground of stuff you and I have talked about on here before. And I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll get into some new stuff soon, right?
Yeah,
But there's a
course.
reason for that, which is like Adam gave me 2 dates, which was the night he sent me the DM, he was like, I can do it at 9 o'clock tonight. Brilliant. Or he could have done it a couple of days after. Excuse me, my friend.
It's
In
okay.
hindsight, I wish I'd taken the date that he said he could do a couple of days after, because, you know, like I could have had time to research, plan the format a bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you could.
But at that time, with the state of the world and the health crisis, I was so paranoid that the opportunity was going to slip through my fingers.
Yeah. So basically, if you didn't do it, then you thought I might not get the opportunity to do it again.
So I'm really sorry, mate. Can you repeat that again for me?
I said, so you thought if you didn't do it then you probably wouldn't be able to do it at all. Have I got that right?
Yeah, basically, because with the state of the world at that time, we
Yeah,
didn't know what was around the corner and stuff like that. Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah. It was either take the shot now or you might miss the shot entirely.
yeah. So 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 with so when did you actually make the decision? Like, I'm just gonna stick to wrestling themed interviews.
Ooh, so that wasn't till you're getting me thinking now, bro. I can't actually remember. It was quite a while into my channel, because you'll know. Like I had you on not long after, but then still didn't have the confidence to reach out to people. But then more cultaholic people started coming on. So others were seeing like what culture. I don't think it was just a conscious decision. It was more of a, these are doing well. Let's see if we can build the channel around them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I completely understand what you mean. Yeah. So so I just in just as an interviewer, when do you think you came into your own as an interviewer?
It's recency biased, but I'm really happy. And like I feel like I really came into my own, particularly since getting a freelance editor and a freelance thumbnail designer, which we'll talk about in a bit, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry, man, continue.
what were you gonna say? Sorry,
I was just gonna say, with them now coming into my channel and things being, and the videos looking better, and the generic questions actually having, because that's the segment I do, because a lot of comments I was getting on the Adam interviews and my early Cultaholic ones was, some of your questions are really generic, like their favorite match, favorite thing. And instead of replying back badly to them, I was like, thank you, give me an idea for a segment. Thank you very much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And I was like, and Sean Ross Sapp said this when he was on my channel. It was like, yeah, now I've got a place to be like, look, I've answered this. Go watch this. Which is how that whole, is slogan the right word? You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, like the whole gimmick.
The gimmick. Thank you. To use the wrestling term, the whole gimmick of, look, We're gonna do. Can I just do my gimmick because it's easier to do it, but rather than explain it?
Yeah, go on then.
We're gonna do a very quick segment that I call generic questions. We'll ask my guests their favorite match, favorite wrestlers pay per view, favorite pay per view, favorite wrestlers entrance team, favorite tag team, and favorite superstar. Basically, questions my guests might get asked on social media. So now they have a place to be like, look, I've answered this. Please go watch this. That's where the whole gimmick sort of came from.
Yeah. So as you just mentioned, as you just said, you've interviewed John Ross Sapp, you interviewed, hang on, sorry, you've interviewed John Ross Sapp, Jimmy Fan, and so many other people that are at least a part of the wrestling space. But what was the one interview where you had to yourself? Was it the Adam Pacitti one, or was it or is there a new contender in that category?
There's a new contender, pal, and it's the Sean Ross Sapp one. Because I think I've told you this story, but if I haven't, you'll know it along with your viewers. I've been a massive fan of Sean's work for years, right? Always really enjoyed his fightful stuff. I've even enjoyed watching him troll people on social media because sometimes I find that quite funny. You know what I mean? Especially since my interview with him, and I've learned trace the thread. If he's starting being mean to someone, it means it's because they're being mean to someone else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a tangent. I do apologize, my friend.
No worries.
So that one is now the contender of I was nervous. But luckily, I have, and to the point, I had a small panic like before the interview. This has never happened. It didn't even happen with the Adam Pacitti one. Have I told you the story?
Honestly, I don't remember. Can you tell me again anyway?
Yeah. So I was having this panic attack. I was like, I'm going to cancel it. So I just messaged. Do you know who Rob Wilkins is from Fightful?
Yeah, I know, Rob.
So me and him have become internet friends, is the way I'll phrase it. It's like really good pals online. Like we talk all the time. It's not always about wrestling. It's just like, how are you doing? Is everything okay? Stuff like that. And I just messaged him and said, look, bro, I'm thinking about cancelling my interview because the demons are out. Because I suffer from a lot of imposter syndrome, which I'm happy to talk about in a minute if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about that. I suffer with that sometimes. I think it'll be a good conversation.
So anyway, yeah, definitely, my friend. So anyway, next thing I know, after I've sent him that message, Rob Wilkins has sent you a Zoom link. And it was basically, and then there was a caption underneath basically saying, don't cancel, let's calm you down. And he massively calmed me down during that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. This might be a silly question, but when you said you are in a panic attack, we just basically what was happening with you just struggling to breathe or what
that sort of thing. Yeah, my body was all sweaty and like I was just like, is this really happening? I can't do this. My heart was pounding. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know whether that was a silly question or not. But
no, because people might not know what a panic. I don't really suffer from them. I'm quite lucky. Do you know what I mean? But then it wasn't because of who Sean is. In some ways, it was
because of you.
That because of like the imposter syndrome of like, do I deserve to be here? That was something I struggle with a lot. You know what I mean? Because this is something that I talked about during an interview I did when I was on the Between Two Beards stream. It's like, how the hell did a boy from Essex, England, get to talk to people all over the world? Do you know what I mean? And a guy whose channel was just supposed to be something to tide him over during the pandemic what during the stay at home. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how the hell did I get here? And that's why I'll always be grateful. I can't. Can I? Yes, I can. I've got this shirt that's a Chris Van Vliet shirt. Right? Be great, be grateful.
Yeah.
And I always say to myself, I'll always be grateful for the interviews I've done, for the things that I've done and things like that. Because I started with nothing and I've built it from the ground up. And I've gone on a massive rant. I do apologize.
It's okay. It's it's more content for the interview, so it's all good.
Exactly. You think the same way I do now, which is, oh, the guest is talking. I don't have to ask a load of questions.
So for people that don't know you, yeah, basically you have cerebral palsy, don't you? So the reason why I say that is, do you think because of your disability that makes your imposter syndrome worse?
Oh, that's a big question. I've never thought of that, but it is as well. Because this is something that you and I have discussed, right?
Yeah.
Which is, are we getting, this is something we discussed last time me, you, and Dom hung out, right?
Yeah.
Which is, are we getting the interviews because of the content or because people feel sorry for us? And I struggle with that a lot.
Me too. And sometimes you might not know it until the person's actually in the Zoom call, and you can just get the vibe.
I've been very lucky because I interview people within one niche, right, which is wrestling.
Yeah.
We're all here for the same reason. We're all wrestling fans. I feel quite lucky that I've never really had that. Does that make sense? But I fully get why you might think. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like obviously, me and you have done interviews where the person that we're interviewing did not seem interested.
I've only really had one. I'm gonna be totally honest. I've only really had one.
Yeah,
you know what it is because I told you off camera.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that because it will be a bit awkward.
Oh, definitely not. But you know what one it is, yeah?
Yeah, I know that. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've only really had one, and again, the amount of people that tell me that, like, if I've asked a guest, that if I've interviewed someone's co-host, I'll put it that way, that they've said, oh, for example, this past weekend I recorded a podcast with Ryan from the Mark Out podcast, Mark Alder podcast, who's one of his co-hosts is Kate from Fightful. An interview went up this week at time of recording. Make sure you check that one out, buddy.
Yeah.
Her interview went up this week at time of recording.
I must say that was a really good interview, to be honest.
I really appreciate that, man. But one thing Ryan did say to me before we started recording was, Kate had a great time. She really put you over. So that puts me at ease a lot, that people are like, where I'm interviewing within the same community, that really helps because my name's getting out there slowly. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. A lot. Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. And obviously people talk, don't they?
Exactly. And like, I do feel like also because I've interviewed, you can disagree, you can agree with me on this, you can disagree. The biggest wrestling journalists? Would you agree with that? Has Sean overtaken Dave?
If you're going off current day, then yeah.
The biggest current day wrestling journalist, because I've interviewed them, I've got a lot of credence now, and also because I sound so big-headed, and I'm really okay with that.
Yeah, go on.
So Jimmy Van is a great man that runs Fightful Wrestling, right? Behind the scenes.
Yeah.
What the hell? That was weird. Anyway, he runs Fightful Wrestling behind the scenes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, go on. I was
And
a bit weirded out there for a second.
so was I for a second. Anyway, moving on. He runs Fightful Wrestling behind the scenes, right? And he was someone that I was like, oh, I'd love to have you on. That'd be fun. Like, because he doesn't do them. But I also put that on the back burner because he doesn't do them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like you, like I don't mean to cut you off, but nothing gonna be time sensitive. You know what I mean?
Because, well, not just that, but because like if he doesn't do them, there's a reason he doesn't do them. Is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And then one night out of the blue, I haven't told this part of the story, so this gets me in trouble.
Hang on.
Going back to what I was saying originally, right? The reason I put the Jimmy Van one on the back burner was because, like, as much as I wanted to do an interview with him, he doesn't do them. So I always figured, oh, there's a reason he doesn't do them. And then one night, some courage came out of me. For whatever reason, I did what you do, which is a great way of getting interviews, by the way. I still think you need to update the content that you use, but that's another story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you mean, but at the moment, I'm happy with the sample that I use because I
That's
think
fair, mate. But like I say, anyway, the important point was I just tweeted at him, at Jimmy Van, can I please interview you? Here's an interview with Sean Rossap to show my work. And I actually tagged Sean. So I don't know if Sean ever saw it, but I do know that Jimmy asked Sean about me. Does that make any sense?
yeah,
And he was like, he replied back like an hour later, being like, I don't normally do these, but Sean Rossap has really bigged you up and put you over, and I'm more than happy to come on. And I was like, okay, cool. And then we scheduled that, and that went out not long ago.
I, I how did it make you feel when you have people like Sean Ross that putting you over like that? Because obviously Sean did a lot of interviews, so he knows when somebody's good and somebody's shit.
Again, it's sort of the state of that. Because I'd always wanted, again, the way I'll phrase it, mate, if you told 5-year-old Tom, who'd always wanted to do something in broadcasting, whether it was radio, interviewing, do you know what I mean? That he'd be getting to talk to people he now considers heroes. And like, how the hell did I get here? Why is Sean putting me over to people? Does that make sense? It's very strange one. Does that make sense?
Yeah. A random question. Would you like to interview Mel with that?
Yes, Meltzer's my bucket list. You know I want to interview Meltzer because you've watched my bucket list video.
Yeah.
I know. Meltzer's my woo. If that one happened, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not going to say I'm done, but again, I could stop tomorrow and be happy. Is the way I'll put it. Because
so basically, it'll be like if you completed the video game.
that sort of thing, yeah. But it's almost like I've completed the video game because it's like I wasn't supposed to do this past the 2020 lockdown, so I'm just having fun. And it's like, and this is something I talked about on the spotlight. If it stopped being fun, if I stopped enjoying it, I would say the last few episodes were there. A tweet would go out just being like, after this batch of episodes, guys, the channel will be ending because it'd be like one of them note things you see when a wrestler gets injured. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Or like when a wrestler retires or something.
That sort of thing, yeah. It'd be like that sort of thing because it's the sort of thing where if I stopped enjoying doing this, I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't sit at a computer for hours. Something me and someone I interviewed this morning, time of recording, was talking about was like, like people don't realize how much work goes into content creation sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and yeah, a lot of people don't realize just the amount of work that goes into it. and I don't want to speak for you, but I can only speak for myself. With somebody like me, I have to put in twice the amount of work of just a normal. I don't want to say normal, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
Dan,
and I'm not trying to say that, man. It's just like if I stopped enjoying even the editing part, and I know I've got someone that does more advanced editing now, but if I stopped enjoying the trying to find guests, the trying to, do you know what I mean? Like if I stopped enjoying any of it, I'd have to step away because it's like I couldn't do. I don't make any. I know what I'm trying to say. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. It's not your career. It's not your career, so you don't have to overstep yourself. Like if you don't have interview for like a week or so, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Like you're not gonna.
If I record an interview today, odds are a month, maybe. It depends who it is. Like a month, maybe two before it airs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What? Not to make it about me, but I've created a separate folder called Anthony Podcast. So I'm just gonna put all my interviews in there and release them when I want to, because what I used to do, what I used to do in the past, because I didn't want to, because I needed to get rid of the videos in my editing station. I used to upload them straight away rather than stack stacking them up. If
Well,
you
the
know,
thing with us is with cerebral palsy, some days you can wake up and you're like, I can't, I can't even breathe, let alone move my arms. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And I never want to be at the stage where it's like, I can't move, but there's no video for this week. I've got to tough it out because it's supposed to be fun. Does that make sense?
yeah, and obviously with you, yeah, you only do interviews for you, for you. Interviews are a lot more important than they are for me, because I can just, I can just jump, jump on and record something, a quick 5 minute talking session, and then I can post that and people seem to really enjoy it.
Hmm. And that's the thing. I would like to do more stuff like that, but with having a job, with having like family around me, a good support network of people that want to take me out places and do things with me, I don't want to sit at my computer. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. So moving on, because I do want to get through some of this stuff, because I know you haven't got long. So
oh bloody hell, we've been going half an hour already.
you're in real life job, yeah. What exactly is it like? What do you do?
So most people know me, know that I love my films, right? So I work in a cinema every Saturday and every couple of days in the school holidays. I'm the guy. I don't know how it works up in Birmingham, but in cinemas near where I work in Cineworld, you have someone on like a box. It's called the drop box. Before you enter the screen and after you've bought your tickets, just to check your tickets. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I completely understand what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's something that's all I do. That's what I do essentially. I'm the guy that checks people's tickets, says, "Oh, your screen is in there." Don't know why I just went into my toilet, but that's another story. Your guys, this screen's just let out. Can someone go clean it, please? Things like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a manager there, but I direct traffic. Does that make sense?
yeah. So how did you get the job? Like, did you just apply for it like everybody else did, or did they come to
No,
you?
that is a two-prong answer again. So can I give you that?
Yeah, go on.
I had been, because I'd been working in charity shops since I was about 17, which was voluntary. And don't get me wrong, I'd had some good times working in charity shops. It was just to keep my supported hours, to make sure that I could still have carers and things like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there comes a point where it's like, okay, so I was working with this great careers advisor who basically showed me how to make a CV, showed me how to this. And then because at the time I was an unlimited member of the cinema, which is like their loyalty program. Do you know what I mean? Oh, you can pay so much a month. Their membership program would be the better word. You pay so much a month and you can go as many times as you like to see whatever films you like. You can, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get exactly what you mean. Yeah.
And then basically one of the ladies that used to work, I got to know her really well, and she was like, "We've got a job opening. You're here all the time anyway. Would you ever look into it? Would you ever look into it?" And then it's like, "Would you ever look into it?" And I was like, "Nah, nah. I don't know if I could do very much at the cinema because obviously at this time I didn't know much about the behind the scenes. Do you know what I mean?"
Yeah, like basically, you didn't. I don't want to speak for you, but it sounds like you didn't really know how it worked. Like,
Exactly. You're exactly right. And it's like, oh. And then one night I get a text from my very good friend and carer, Luke, basically saying, I've spoke to Cineworld. They think you'd be perfect for it. You've got an interview, etc. I can't remember the exact. So yeah,
you gotta help you to get the job. Is that what you said?
yeah. Essentially, he basically was like, because he then spoke to the lady after. I was like, nah, nah, and she basically said he could do what I'm doing, which at the time she was on the Dropbox, and I'm like, oh, maybe I could do that. So I've been there just over a year. The rest is history.
But how did it go? How did it feel going from a charity job, getting the actual paid job? That's the better word for it. Okay, a
Paid
paid.
job, paid job. I know what you mean. So it didn't really feel, because it was very similar to what I was doing at a charity shop, which is interacting with people and things like that. Do you know what I mean? It didn't really feel like a paid job till I got my first paycheck at the end of my first month. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I do think your interviewing how your paid job, or how did your paid job, how your interviewing.
Oh, that's like a question I would ask. I love it, man. Uh, um, so to answer the first part, how did my interviewing help my paid job? I've always been a people person anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I've always been good at interacting with people and enjoyed interacting with people. So that was okay. But the fact it really helped me in the actual interview to get the job, I think, because I understood how to, not how to have a conversation, but like,
But I don't want to speak to you, but you basically, or what it sounds like, you know how to present yourself and put yourself forward.
exactly that, yeah.
It's like, so what was your first day like? Can you remember?
I can actually, as it happens. It was lovely because the first couple of weeks you're just there training, like you're almost a fly on the wall. My bosses tell me, and I don't know if this is how it works in every city, but in the one I work at, they just said, just observe what your colleagues doing on the Dropbox. If you feel comfortable, you can start. And that was it. We got shown around where all the projectors are, where all the food's kept, and things like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be honest. When it comes to the quote unquote real job, I can't really relate to that. But when I'm doing recording and stuff like that, I know exactly what you're talking
What
about.
I'm saying is, man, and it weren't so much about the real job. It was more like,
No, I know exactly what you meant. Yeah, people. Sometimes people don't realise the stuff that the amount of stuff we have to do just to do just to do the basic stuff. If you know what I mean.
yeah,
Like
you've got what I'm saying, yeah.
Like the amount of help that we might need.
Yeah, definitely.
So a couple more questions, and then we start wrapping it up. So, so obviously you've interviewed a lot of people in the wrestling media space, but do you know a small independent show came to you and said, hi Tom, we would like you to be about, we would like you to do in interviews with some of our talent. Would you do it?
Yes, 100%, 100%, yes. And like I've had a few independent wrestlers on and things like that, but it's like, yeah, of course I would. 100%. Not just because I love wrestling, but you'd be silly to pass up, even if, like, I'm trying to think, even if a content creator I wasn't very familiar with, I'll put it that way, reached out and said, look, I've discovered your channel. I'd love to have you on. I'd love to be on it. I'd be silly to turn that down. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What if a promotion came to you and said we want you to be backstage interviewing a bit like in person, obviously in person?
Obviously with my medical needs, that is something that I would have to seriously think about and have a routine and things. But it's something that I would definitely look into because that is something that I'd love to do.
The one thing I will say, Tom, there's always going to be some way of working around a disability or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. But like you and I say, because, and this isn't like a pity party, but it's like, because I do need help with the basics, it would be the way I'll phrase it is I've got mates that have just come back from an impromptu weekend in Spain. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they've just decided one weekend, oh, we're gonna go. We've got the money, tickets are really cheap, let's do it. I could never do something like that because I need an accessible hotel room. I need to make sure that there's a seat but in a certain place on the airline and stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's more what I meant, man.
Obviously it would take a lot of preparation, but I definitely think you could do it. You could do it if the right things were in place.
Yeah, if the right things were in place and they was like, we can help you with this, etc., I would definitely think about it. Do you know what I mean?
Because I definitely think you would be a good backstage interviewer because you have the cadence for it, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. But yeah, it's something that if the stars aligned and everything was in place for me to do it, I would 100% do it.
To be honest with you, I've always thought about being like a wrestling manager, or like a commentator or something like that.
Oh, commentary is my big dream. I'd say that because I always end my interviews on the content we want to be remembered for and the piece we want to live forever, right? I believe you think about Jim Ross, especially with what happened this past weekend. It's like every moment from the Attitude Era or AEW or time in WE has his voice plastered on it. So with that, you really do live forever. Does that make sense?
When at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, everybody's content gonna live forever.
Is he ripping off my end question? Is he ripping off my end question? Kinda?
Yeah, I got the copy. Yeah, I got the copyright for it anyway.
Damn, where's my lawyer when I need him?
Okay. So yeah. So So what the one bit of content you want to be remembered for? Or how would you like to be remembered as as a person?
Can I answer both?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
So, for the content I want to be remembered for, again, it's recency biased, but anything past, anything including and past my Sean Ross Sapp, I'm really happy. Do you know what I mean? But mainly my Jimmy Van one, because that was the exclusive interview I managed to get.
That sounds good, mate. Can I tell you what I'm gonna remember? What I'm gonna remember you for?
Uh-oh.
One of them's a jokey answer. One of them's one of them's a serious answer.
Okay.
The first one is Adam Duty.
No, I don't want to be remembered for that. No. I mean, God,
No,
Gotcha.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny because you were just you were ju- you were just you were just so excited, and I like seeing people. I feel like sometimes people take themselves way too seriously,
Yeah, definitely.
and I just
So I see what you're saying, and I will say this: me and Adam have had talks about doing a possible part 2, but he's so busy at the minute that it's not going to happen anytime soon. But I will ask him. I do want to do a part 2 with him down the road now that I have a format. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not trying to get the mic. I'm not trying to let the kids
No,
out.
I thought it was funny, man. I just don't want to be remembered for that interview. That interview's cringe.
And my genuine one has to be your. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna go Kate with your Kate with your Kate interview.
Yeah, I'd be happy if people remembered me for that one. And then you asked me, what do I want to be remembered as a creator? Do you mean like as a person in terms of
Yeah, as a person.
just someone that could see, enjoyed his creating, improved as a creator? I want to be remembered as Jimmy Van did this during the end of my interview. I don't know if you checked that one, but he did this
Yeah,
during the end of my interview, and he was like, "I want to be remembered as a good friend. In my case, as a boyfriend. As someone people enjoyed hanging out with, as someone people enjoyed working with, because I wasn't always that person. And I know full well I've made some mistakes in my past and with anger management issues, said the wrong thing. And I feel like I'm now on a path to being who I want to be. And I want to be remembered as the person I am now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's I should have done this earlier, but if, the, if there's any aspiring interviewers that are watching this, what would be your bit of advice?
Ooh, there's a lot I could say because I've obviously seen myself grow as an interviewer. Research, because I have found that I do deeper questions when I research, but not too much research. So there's a fine balance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Learn to set everything up yourself so your guests don't have to help you with anything. Because if you remember back in the day, my interviews were recorded for someone, like my guests would record the interview and then send it over to me, which,
yeah,
eh,
I would definitely say. I mean, it's okay. It's okay to do it with one person, but if you rely on the guest to record the interview, I know that a lot of people might say no just because they don't want to do all of that stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I understand that. I understand that completely.
I know you do. I'm just saying to the people that might be watching.
Yeah. And then what's my other bit of advice? Have a format, make yourself different, but overall, just have fun with it. And remember, it's not an interview; it's a conversation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. So, do you want to promote your socials quickly, Tom?
Yes, please. So you can find me on Twitter at Tom Talk Flourish. You can find my YouTube channel, which Hank will hopefully put some links.
On YouTube, you can add a channel now, can't you?
Oh yeah, of course you can. So yeah, you can find me on Tom Talk Flourish on YouTube, and yeah, just thank you for having me, mate. It's always fun to talk with you.
It's always a pleasure to have you on. So, thank you for watching, everyone. Make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, and do all that stuff. It would really mean a lot to me. If you're listening to this on audio platforms, give it 5 stars or whatever you do on there, and I will speak to you later. But thank you very much, and peace and love.